Hi, everybody. I think that this type of video, this type of podcast or video or whatever, has been long overdue for me. And I think if you're going to start doing a lot of video game history and doing podcasts on video games and things like that, then you got to start with basically what brought you to the table. Now, not to say that Halo has brought me to the table, because Mario brought me to the table back in 1988 or so, whatever I was. I was 5 years old. You know, other people had the Nintendo already, but I wanted it, and I ended up getting it. It was a great story. But let's start off with this Halo story. Let's start off right at the beginning. I want you guys to understand my credentials as far as Halo goes. Put aside all your biases for whatever you're into, whether it's Call of Duty, whether it's Skyrim, whether it's... Skyrim's kind of a weird example, but if it's not a shooter, that's fine. But if it's a shooter, you know, like Gears of War, Call of Duty, Halo, Destiny, you know, whatever you're into now or have been into, put it all aside. But I'm going in this assuming you're a Halo fan of some sort, whether you were, you're not anymore, whether you want to be again, whether you've never been. But mostly it's for the people that have been, because you'll know what I'm talking about. Mostly. Picture this, though. PlayStation is dominating. They are ruling the world. I'm big into video games in high school. There I am in, I think it was 10th or 9th grade, whichever one it was, 2001 or 2000. 2000, I read about this thing called the Xbox, and I think, wow, you know, it's amazing how gaming changes. Because when I was playing Nintendo, I said, nothing's going to get better than this, and then someone showed me their Sega, and then I played that, and I thought Sega was as good and in a different way. And then we thought there would never be this big battle between Sega and Nintendo. And I started playing Sega so much at one point that I thought Sega was gonna, you know, maybe could overtake Nintendo or something. And then that didn't happen. Then Sega went bye-bye. Sega did Sega CD and everything went bye-bye. And then Nintendo versus Sega ended and Nintendo versus PlayStation began. And the N64 and PlayStation had gold. You know, and I'm reading about this Xbox for a year before it releases, and I'm getting more and more excited, and I get the Xbox. My mother gets me the Xbox for Christmas, because the Xbox, I believe, came out November of 2001. And, of course, it came with Halo. It was like... But normally when these systems would launch, they'd launch with a cartoony kind of game. You know, Nintendo launched with Mario Brothers. PlayStation went with Crash Bandicoot. That was kind of one of their first releases. Although PlayStation kind of had a lot of other titles that took over. You know, Sega had Sonic the Hedgehog. So PlayStation kind of put out Crash Bandicoot, but it wasn't quite like the Sega and Nintendo's guys. That didn't stick like that, but... You know, starting with a cartoon character like that is a good way to hook the young audience and be, you know, to be PC for everybody. But, you know, back then, you know, one game or two came out, so games came out slower, where there was more titles, even though it felt like there weren't enough titles at the time. There were more titles coming out with these systems now. So PlayStation could say, oh, fine, you don't like Crash Bandicoot? Well, guess what? Twisted Metal's coming out. And I feel like I got, like, breathing problems. I'm like, I'm snorting, and this is just how I breathe. I'm wondering if, Jesus, what the hell's wrong with me? But, so I get this, my mother gets it for me, and I sneak out of school, because I found out that it was in the closet in a room. So like a jackass, for the first time ever, I found my presents. And so I opened it. And I would say, oh my God, I'm sorry, goodbye, here's. I would sneak out of, I'd get out of school, and I would just start playing Xbox. I'd open it up real carefully, the smell of the package, and I'll never forget popping in Halo 1. Halo 1 it blew my mind. This wasn't Sonic the Hedgehog, it wasn't Mario Brothers, it was a first-person shooter with aliens and blood, and it was cartoony enough that it wasn't graphic. It's just that it was such a good game, so interesting to start playing. I will never forget that nostalgia, man. It was so good. And then we get 10 levels, and The campaign was so good, and I hadn't beaten it yet. I didn't beat it because I kept playing the first map, the first level, and I told my friend immediately. I was like, "You're not gonna believe this, man," because me and him played everything. We played all the games. Dude, we played hours at night of Toe Jam and Earl, Lethal Enforcers on Sega Genesis. I mean, like everything, every game that had ever been out, me and him, since we were little kids, tore it up. Stayed up way too late playing everything. And he was really interested in this. And then, of course, when I finally opened it and was able to put it in the living room, he came over and we couldn't stop. It was unbelievable. And then what made it awesome, Halo awesome, was when he got an Xbox and a few other people would get Xboxes. A lot of people didn't play Xbox. Most people were still playing PlayStation 2. Remember, PlayStation 2 was the system at the time. So, even though Xbox One was awesome, I thought it was just amazing. I was so enamored with Xbox One. Even though everyone else everywhere was PlayStation 2 this and PlayStation 2 that, I was like, no, this Xbox, you got to check this Xbox out. It's unbelievable. And they were like, yeah, whatever. And so, you had the consoles going on. I mean, GameCube was still tearing it up then too, for the most part. So you had like PlayStation 2 just destroying. GameCube, I think it was GameCube was out at the time, and they were like still kind of doing okay. And Xbox was even below that. And Sega Dreamcast, just blew up. It died. It didn't blow up in a good way. It blew up in a bad way. It died. They tried to go online with their system, and they couldn't do it. But Xbox was going to go online. And that's what changed everything. When Xbox was able to go online with Halo 2. But we're still talking about Halo 1. And while this is, by the way, the state of Halo. My name is I do a show called The Joe Cronin Show. It's a wrestling thing, but my name is Dan Cronin. Dan Cronin, and I've been playing Halo since the day it launched. And I'm 31 years old now. So we would take the systems and hook them up to LAN parties. I have felt very excited over my life that I have gone from every change, for the most part, in computers and gaming that you could go through. Because if you talk to 5-year-old me, I would tell you that we had our own little old Tandy computer in the house. And I would say that I had Nintendo, and Atari. And then to see how things have gone from like riding your bike to your friend's house to trying to call him on the phone to AOL Instant Messenger and AOL in 1994 when I was 10 and being able to text like some people, but not everybody had it. To now, how everything is. It's just the expansion and the technology that's happened over the course of my lifetime is unbelievable. And every 5 years, it's a change, and you look back on it with nostalgia. Like, remember when we did this? I remember when you gamed on the computer, you gamed on the PC, and that was all you did for the most part online. When you could, the early days of online gaming on the PC and connecting to a server. And then Dreamcast tried that, didn't work. But then Xbox with the LAN parties, you would get multiple Xboxes and put them together, and you would hook them up, and you'd play Halo. You could get 4-on-4, 8 people in the house playing on split screens. You'd be lugging the Xboxes in trunks and lugging TVs over people's houses, and the flat screens hadn't come out yet, really. There were still these big-ass fucking TVs that you had to carry. I don't think I want to swear on this, so I got so excited I threw an F-bomb. But no, so you're still bringing these big TVs, everywhere. And luckily the flat screens would start to come up, but even at first they were heavy. But it was so much fun to get a LAN party going. But of course that was, always a little bit difficult to do all that, but even as difficult as it is, there's nothing like it. Like, it's still fun now. If you can get a group of friends in the same house to play, that's fun. Even if you're not having a LAN party and hooking up a bunch of Xboxes, just playing multiplayer in the same room with everybody's fun. Now you kind of just hook up the Xboxes on individual TVs and you just go online and then you connect and you're playing in the same room, but you're not, it's playing live in front of everybody. It's fun to be with people when you're playing like that. But it can be just as fun over the internet too, much more convenient. That being said, Halo 1's campaign was so amazing. And the multiplayer was amazing too, but the multiplayer, you were doing it manually. You were doing it through a landline, going over your friend's house, hooking up your Xboxes. Or your friend coming over and playing split screen with you. Those are the only ways to do it. There was no online yet. Unless you were plugging your Xbox into some sort of server, and I'm sure some people did that. I never actually did that. I've done that now, even 8-10 years ago. I've played on private servers on my laptop and hooked up the Xbox that way. But you couldn't do it. And then the campaign was so amazing, though. It was so good. Halo 1 campaign was amazing. The multiplayer experience offline was what you had, and it was amazing too. And you just thought, man, if this thing could ever be online where you could play players around the world or something, imagine how amazing that would be. And then just after Halo 1, we start getting the announcements about Halo 2, and then Xbox starts talking about Xbox Live. Xbox is going to go live. It's going to go online. It's going to be amazing. And, you don't really know what to make of that. You're worried, is there going to be major lag in every game where, it doesn't even look good and it's not even worth it? I mean, how in the world am I going to be able to shoot people, jump, move around, and then interact with other people across the country doing the same thing, reacting to my screen? I don't understand how this is going to be possible. And, of course, the internet and the way the internet changed is a big part of that too, with everyone getting cable modems and DSL, that type of stuff, as opposed to the dial-ups and some other lower-end cable modem type of things. So that's a whole nother story that I don't even know about, but I understand it, but I don't really understand. But we're talking about Halo. So what's weird is the 360 launches, a few years after the original Xbox, which is crazy because a major console launches, but Halo was starting to get traction at the end. At the end of Halo 1's, right before Halo 2 was going to launch, a lot of people who didn't know about Halo 2, or didn't know about Halo or Xbox, had found out about it. Because the few people that did play Halo were just blown away by it, that they were shoving it down their friends' throat, shoving it down everyone's throats, and making videos and posting things online and just telling everybody. And then the community grew even more. And then more people were telling everybody. And it culminated with right as Halo 2 is about to launch. And go online. And I'm forgetting now because things are so weird. The 360 actually, Halo 2 had launched on the original Xbox. But there it was, Halo 2, about to launch. It's going to be live on Xbox Live. And then we find out that it's going to work. You put it in and it worked. It worked. The games, other than a few, glitches here or there and modding and things like that would happen, the game amazingly worked. And it was the funnest thing on a console ever at that point. And millions of people were playing this thing. The release for Halo 2 was so anticipated. I'll never forget them showing it in Japan and showing it in New York and just all over the place. The stuff was crazy, and it lived up to all the hype, and it became its own hype. And before you know it, more people were joining Xbox. More people were buying an Xbox that didn't have one. Now the PlayStation 2 was kind of getting towards its, it's getting maxed out at this point. It had a big run, but now, a lot of those PlayStation people were jumping over to Xbox, and new people were jumping over to Xbox, and tons of people were playing Halo. I think the female audience for games grew because you had more females playing a shooter than ever before in Halo. More girls got into gaming because of Halo, I think, at the time. Unbelievable stuff, what Halo 2 did when it launched live. And me and my friend being able to play each other when he moved to Florida, and then meeting up. When we would meet up, we would play again, but he would be in Florida and I would be here. And just being able to play everybody. And then the way, the system, the maps, Halo 2, while I still think Halo 1's campaign is the best campaign, Halo 2's campaign was interesting. but mostly it was the multiplayer that did it. It was the online play. You were addicted to it. You couldn't stop playing Halo games. I think I played something like, I don't even want to know. I guess I don't know what the number is. It might be like 50,000, if not more. I don't know. Games of Halo. I mean, ridiculous. You would have to it got so bad that you were so addicted that when you get to level 50 or whatever it was, you would D-rank yourself, like, so that you could get back to the beginning level, so that you could rank all up again. I mean, it was the weirdest thing. People D-ranking. So much to do in that world because of imperfections in some areas too, like some of the little glitches. So much to do, super bouncing, all that stuff. Just you name it. Just there's more and more to do and absorb and have fun with. And when you can do that, it just makes the game very exciting. Of course, you want the maps on Halo 2. I will never forget the maps on Halo 2. And it's the reason why in every other Halo afterwards, they recreated maps and brought them back. It's not because they have never been able to recreate the maps that they had from Halo 2 in any of the other Halos. Some of the best maps in some of the other Halos are the recreations of the maps from Halo 2. They're just a little bit updated. That's all they are. But a lot of the maps that were made after it were forgettable. But you'll never forget the Halo 2 maps. You know, and Halo 1 maps as well, but Halo 2 really, especially for online, it's just just all those maps, and I can't even remember. Sometimes I can't remember the original names because I think of the recreated names because I played those so many times. And I miss Halo Reach sometimes. It's amazing it all has such nostalgia. But Halo 2, that's what launched online gaming. If you like Gears of War, if you like Titanfall, if you like Skyrim, I mean, yeah, whatever you like, online gaming was launched really because of Halo 2. And just look it up. Just look it up if you weren't there. But if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. Halo 2 was as big at one time as World of Warcraft at their heyday. Halo 2 was as big as Nintendo and Mario back in the day. I mean, that's what we're talking about. It's amazing to think it. Where now Halo has kind of become a niche group, like a core group of the hardcore Halo obsessed fans and followers. These are the people left on Halo are noobs who are into it big time, or just new people to the game who have now gotten into it and got obsessed with it. Or it's the old school people. But wherever you came in, did you come in on Halo 3 and you're still playing? Did you come in on Halo 2 and you're still playing? Maybe. My gamer tag is one of the first gamer tags ever made, from what I understand. And I believe my gamer tag is one of the few that's still an original gamer tag that's been around since way back in the day. And it's still there. My gamer tag is, when I call Xbox, they're like, whoa, like, holy shit, you know? And as much crap as I give them about the Xbox One is a nightmare. I'm not going to lie. It's a nightmare. It's both a nightmare and a wonder. It's both. It's a masterpiece in some ways, and it's great. And then in other ways, it's a complete nightmare. And I can't stand that it's both of those things. I wish... I would rather... I get anxiety playing on my Xbox One. I'm not supposed to get anxiety playing on Xbox One. And I get anxiety thinking about Halo because of the Master Chief Collection. You know? And you talk about this smart scoping and smart aiming that's coming up. There is so much to grasp and so much to talk about. And that's what we're going to do here on State of Halo. This is the State of Halo Episode 1. And this is kind of my overview or introduction into Halo. I want you guys to know who I am and to talk about Halo in a broad way right now. But I'm just giving you my beginning on Halo so that you know. And that you can enjoy the future episodes that I'm going to be doing of the State of Halo. And, we're approaching this big hype of Halo 5. I enjoyed the beta, surprisingly. And I said, if it's anything like this launch of Master Chief, I'm going to cut my head off. And I hope it's not, because, it could be the last straw for a lot of people, to be honest. And this is a game I love. I don't want this to happen. I don't want it to go away. I wish that Bungie never left, but a lot of people from Bungie are at 343. I don't even know the situation, to be honest. But 343 has also done a good job with Halo 4. I was surprised. I liked Halo 4 a lot. And, you'll never get that nostalgia of Halo 1 and Halo 2 ever again, I don't think. And even Halo 3 to a certain degree. I know a lot of people that came in... Actually, there's a lot of people that, throughout Halo 2 being online, so many people were coming into the game for the first time. Like, a lot of people joined right at launch of Halo 2. A ton of people joined throughout Halo 2. And then a ton of people joined at the end of Halo 2. They finally got around to getting it and getting into it. And then Halo 2 was over. Halo 3 was already coming out for them. So a lot of people are started with Halo 3. So there's a nostalgia about whatever you started with. You'll never forget the first Halo game you played. I'll never forget Halo 1. I mean, I'll never forget any of them, but Halo 1, I'll never... That is the one. Like, if you told me, you're going to go to an island and we're not going to... You can have one video game to take with you on that island. There's a lot of games you could want to take because they're good and because they're awesome. But because Halo 1 is so nostalgic for me, I would take Halo 1. Because not only is it nostalgic and I could play the campaign and we could play whatever, but just the little things that you can do in the game that, are extra is why I'd take it. Some people might take Grand Theft Auto or something. I would take Halo. I'd probably go crazy. Like, if you're on an island by yourself and you're just like, I'm Master Chief. I don't know. I'm a grunt. I would have been your daddy. Those funny little things. Silent cartographer. The Maw. Sit there on the island beating the Maw. And do that Jeep run at the end. I liked Halo 3's campaign too. Halo 2 I didn't really get into as much. That campaign is actually... I just had fun playing Halo 2's campaign, the remake. I did really enjoy it this time. Back then I didn't, though. I think it's because we just played online so much. But the switching between Chief and the alien, I didn't enjoy that. I remember thinking at the time, like, they dropped the ball. They had such a good campaign in the first one. What's this about? But then when you actually watch the story, it's actually really a good story. It really is. But, I think I was just too obsessed with playing online. And, it's funny because I'm such a Halo fan that I call myself such a Halo player. But I never got in... I didn't get into the lore as much as maybe somebody who's listening to this is thinking that, I'm a huge Halo fan. This guy doesn't even know. You might be right. You might be more obsessed with it than me or more into it than me. I didn't get into the lore as much, which is weird. But what I could tell you about my Halo is... I played so much online that you wouldn't believe it. You know what I mean? I played that game online insanely. But I was very into the story of Halo Combat Evolved. I loved it. And I loved Halo 3's story as well. And everything after that has been good. It's just, the Master Chief Collection was such a launch fail. It takes 6 months for me to be able to play the game I bought? It was awful. That being said, it's awesome now that it works. And it is just awesome. The idea of putting them all on there, everything was great. But it would have been nice, to get a heads up on what was going to happen when it launched. I mean, come on. I took work, people took work off for days, and then people were like, you idiot, you should have known. But you know what? What do you mean I should have known? Because all the other Halos that launched, for the most part, launched without a problem. The other Halos that launched, I didn't have a problem. Halo 3 launched, we were playing that night. They didn't have an issue. The only time I've ever seen an issue with a Halo launch is when Bungie was in charge. It was when 343 was handling it. I don't know what the correlation is. So that's what made me upset about that. That being said, I'm really looking forward to Halo 4, or Halo 5. We're on Halo 5 now. I'm really looking forward to Halo 5. One of the questions I got was, what do you think? Do you think Master Chief is going to be killed? Do you think Master Chief is going to die? And we've already gone through that with Halo 3. We thought Master Chief was going to die in Halo 3, and that was going to be it. But I think that's ridiculous because, you don't kill Sonic. You don't kill Mario. So you don't kill Master Chief. He's the one. Cortana, Master Chief, they're the ones. Unless you're going to do some kind of Doctor Who stuff where, like, Cortana's reincarnated or something, or the Chief is whatever. I don't know. Then that'd be cool, but you'd have to keep up with that pattern. But then you're still thinking about what about Chief or Chief? I think it would be a mistake because any franchise that leads like that, you don't need to get rid of that main character. The main character like that is the one that everybody wants to play. You can put him in jeopardy. You can do some certain things. But that's who we want to play. That's who's selling. That's part of the game. It's not just Halo. You could call it Master Chief, in many ways. I mean, I think that in a way that's wrong because we got Halo Reach, and you can make Halo Spartans and whatever, and people would still play that. But it's just, I think it's unnecessary to do that. It's, you just don't kill the franchise player if you don't have to. We're not buying a movie, we're buying a video game. And there's a lead character. And his name is Master Chief. And if he's not there, it's less interesting. Although maybe some people would make the argument that it was just fine in Halo Reach. So, I don't know. But guys, I hope you enjoyed my commentary, some of my backstory into it. I'll get into more of that the next time in my next State of Halo. But this was episode 1, the State of Halo. And tell me what your thoughts are about the franchise. I hope you can below. Follow me on YouTube. I'm all over the place at Spectrum Gaming 617. Also, my other YouTube channel, Zero Chill Bro. And if you're into wrestling or sports, you can follow me on my biggest channel, which has 18,000 subscribers, 9 million views. It's Joe Cronin Show. That's Joe Cronin Show. It's a very offensive show, so if you're not into that, don't watch it. But I hope you follow me here, and we get into stuff next time on the episode number 2 of The State of Halo. Thanks for listening, and let me know what you think at Joe Cronin Show on Twitter.